I was just a sweeper and whatnot like that. It took me a mile, a year or two to working and doing every job there was to do. It's been a wonderful 50 years. More exciting than being a Marine. Next to the Marines, it's been my life. Because I was really lucky from all the people I met up, Marines and racers, just being here with my family.
So my name is Colt Bristow, and I just recently retired as WMRA's president. I was president for the last 2 years, so that was the 24 and 23 seasons. I was the race director for 7 or 8 seasons before that. So basically the ops manager responsible for the race day, weekends, and whatever else. Before that, I just started as a corner worker, as a volunteer. Managed radio systems, did some flagging, safety response, and ground up stuff. It's the only outlet of its type. You can ride on the street, you can do what we call track days, which are the exhibition, come out, ride with your friends. But this is the only place to ride competitively, at speed, push limits, and do it in an environment that is as safe as one can possibly do it while doing that. We all know how dangerous the street riding can be between cars and trucks and speed limits and just the condition of the road. But this is the only place at the track with an environment of people who care about who you are invested in your family and your well-being, that want to see you have fun and be competitive and provide a prepared, groomed, custom experience to allow that to happen at its absolute potential. Excuse me, racing is focus. When you're on the bike and you're at that level of attention, there's so little room in the mental capacity for any other thoughts or worries or meandering anything. You are solely focused on what you and the machine are doing in the given environment at a given time. And adrenaline junkies get this because I think that's what the high is for anybody who does skydiving or performance motorsports or maybe military members and doing high performance activities. You are just in the moment right then and there. And again, it's one of the very few times and places that you can do that. I think that depends on the individual. What we call it is a mitigation of risk, and everybody's level for that is different. Some people are thrill-seeking. They want to do things that excite them and get the blood pumping. Other people, it's camaraderie and family and friendship. Other people, it's pushing their own limits, but to a threshold that they don't want to exceed. And for a lot of people that do this, they do want to exceed those thresholds. They want to see what their absolute commitment is to whatever they're doing. Unfortunately, those are what I think are the people who tend to get hurt more, but at least they're doing it in an environment where we have, medical response seconds, if not minutes away from them. Of course, as an emergency responder for the track and being race director, I've seen death. I've been the first person on scene. I've lost friends here at the track. I've done CPR on friends at the track and them not survive. And I've been injured only in the minorest of ways. I think maybe a broken toe or a broken finger. I think if you do this long enough, everybody has an off on the bike at some point, and you hope that it's not too severe, and sometimes it's out of your control, and it is. So I think I've been fortunate, but I've seen the far end of the other side more than once. I resigned, retired, I guess, after 15 or 16 years with the club. It does take an emotional toll on you. You see people get hurt, but you also celebrate the wins and the highs along with everybody else. But it's a lot of work. It's a volunteer organization that's propped up with people who just have the best motivations, and honestly, a lot of the volunteer positions don't allow them to participate in the things that they're helping with. So they're there to help, and that's invigorating. As far as riding itself goes, you just can't get it anywhere else. I mean, you have to go to a race club to do racing things, and you can do track days, and they're fun, but they're just an exercise of enjoyment. But to race, there's a different level there. It's a different dopamine hit.
My name's Dan Zlock. My brother Dale. Well, we came from dirt racing because there wasn't any road racing here back in the late 60s. Dirt track, motocross, that sort of thing. And then somebody in 74 started running around the track here. And how much of the club was actually intact, I couldn't say. But through the grapevine, and we worked at a motorcycle shop called Paulson's in Lakewood, and we heard that they were starting to run road racing and didn't know what it was, and came up and took a look and saw what they were doing and decided to, maybe we'll give that a try. And sure enough, I started, my first year here was in 1976 with a 250 GP single of my own build, and that went on to win like 6 championships on it, and then I gave it to my brother and he won 4 more.
They won 4 more with
it. With it.
Later on.
And having been just in the road racing for 48 years and racing longer than that, and we also do other things. We've retired from road racing because we're not young enough and fit enough for that sort of thing, but we do Bonneville land speed racing now on our own. And that question comes up. It's a huge amount of work. We build all this stuff in-house, in our shop, in Spanaway, and officially we're retired, okay? But we still have a fabulous facility, and why not use it, right? So we continue to. The key is, and it's funny you should ask, and it sounds very self-serving, and it is in many ways, but it's what continues to drive you. It's not the work, it's not the equipment, it's winning. Winning is what drives you. That the feeling of winning, whether you're on your bike or someone else is on your bike working in your stead, it never goes bad.
It's being successful at it.
Every single time, it never gets old.
And staying at the top of the game.
Staying at the top of the game. The bike that you see right here is one of our championship bikes. The guy there in the yellow hat there, he is the overall champion for Washington and Oregon this year, and also in 2022, and all on our equipment from our shop.
That's what you need to be. That's what you need to get to be successful. It's not the speed in and of itself that counts. It's you have to go fast in order to be successful in the sport. So yeah, there's a need for speed. But there's also a need for control. Because if you think about it, you won't do it. And yes, I almost died at the 1987 AMA Superbike National at Laguna Seca. I broke multiple bones and ruptured some internal parts, and I'm lucky to even be here. So yes, that does go through your mind. Sure. You put it aside. It goes into another compartment, and you put it aside, and you go out and do what you got to do.
Okay, I'm Duncan Craig, live in Redmond, and I've been coming out here for about 38 years.
Tim Fowler, I live in Seattle, and I've been racing since 1990 because it's really fun. You just can't ride a street bike like that. It's like having wings in some way. And,
you have to switch off from everything else.
Yeah.
Because you've got to be right in the moment, otherwise bad things happen. So it's that level of concentration. And as Tim was saying, you can't go fast on the road. When I first moved to the States, it was when there were lots of speed cameras and or radar and stuff, and people where I came from didn't really care about speed limits, but they did here. So I thought, I got to get on the racetrack. And if you're building a bike, like nowadays they call them cafe races, but that's not what we call them. But you want to try it out. The only place you can really try it out the way it wants to be is on a racetrack, because the things are designed to do over 120 miles per hour. You can't try it out on the street and not come a cropper problem. It's very measured,
very precise, thought out. You can't do the win it or bin it and last that long. That's how we've lasted so long. Most people don't race that long. They do 3-5 years and they're out. But it was really fun, and I could do it, so I do.
So excited.
I have that thought.
Really?
Yeah.
You've banged yourself up a bit more than I have.
I've banged up a couple times, but the last one was the worst because it developed complications. So I don't know if I can return next year. If I can figure that out. I don't like the risks. I don't I mean, I don't like to tell people sometimes that I race bikes because they immediately think you're some sort of reckless, thrill-seeking lunatic, and you deserve to die. You know.
I suppose we should make the point that we've essentially been riding the same bikes for all this time.
Yeah.
So part of the effort and reward is keeping something going that long that is that old. Your bike goes right back to when you first started. And the one I'm riding now, I've been riding that bike for 20 years. So they do become a bit like your grandfather's axe, because there's not a whole lot left on mine anyway, the original ones, because and that's one of the advantages of racing. You're not relying on it to get to work, so you can be a bit more cavalier about how you treat it, I guess.
And part of it is, I mean, I race this really small, slow bike that most people wouldn't want to even ride on the freeway, and we've done it for decades, and we've had large numbers of people do it with us. We have great crowds of people, some really good friends. We travel together. We do some national races if we can get to them, and it was like it's kind of part of a family. It's hard to get that otherwise.
I hadn't figured out a professional thing, and when Dave Kagan, told me to come to the writers' meeting if I wanted to have one of my paintings, because I painted 9-foot spark plugs, and I thought it would be fun to be like the cool guest artist, kind of a thing. And he stood up and said, "Siege is taking over the race day program." I'm like, "Wait, no, stop! Oh God!" So it got thrust into my lap, and I didn't know how to do graphics at all. So I made up some stuff, and so I did the graphics for Wimmer for 10 years. And by the time I got done, I was able to do this kind of thing. And I'm proud of this. Marty Capadonna got killed in a road racing accident. And I don't know if you can see, but I put his face in the fairing right there. And I think most people didn't see it, but it was a tip of the hat to him, as as many racers. You can't have racing without everybody. Everybody counts. And so that was the beginning of my graphics, thing. Well, the thing about racing is, once you start racing, you're a racer. There's no backing out or retiring from it. You can sell your bikes, but you still got that spark. And so when you see races, you go, and it makes you twitch, And all these guys, the last time I road raced was 1996. That's almost 30 years ago. But I think of myself as a road racer first.